Dave, where has this Cavs team come from? Where did this come from?
I'm still wondering. I basically asked LeBron that question after Game 2. I said, you lost by 30-some-odd points in Indiana in Game 6 of that series. Now we're less than a week removed from that. You've won 3 games in a row. You completely ripped the hearts out of the Toronto Raptors. How do you explain it? Because LeBron's in the past has said there is no such thing as taking momentum from game to game. And he goes, honestly, that's just been what our season is. That's how you encapsulate it. They've had some highs. Of course, they had that 15-game winning streak before the trades that completely reshaped their roster in February. They had some lows after that with the hand injury to Kevin Love, and obviously the way they started off the playoffs against the Indiana Pacers, getting blown out in Game 1. Right now, they have the best player in the world, and finally he's starting to get some consistent help around him.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, it helps for Love to do what he did last night and for what Tristan Thompson has finally been able to string together for the first time. But I guess I need to just repeat the question in a way, and because there's no answer to it. I honestly don't know how the Cavs have been able to pull this off based on everything that they have been through all year long. And is there any point, I guess, during the February remake, the Love return, the Tristan Thompson off-court craziness, that there is something that you could point to that was the genesis of what we're seeing right now?
Well, one thing I will say, I ran into James Jones, who was on the last 3 finals teams for the Cavs. He retired this offseason. Now he's an assistant general manager of the Phoenix Suns. And the Cavs were in Phoenix back in March, and I was like, I don't know, JJ, like this team, I don't know if they have what it takes. And he was like, nope, they're going to be just fine. LeBron plays at a different level in the playoffs. Tyronn Lue is a playoff coach. He makes adjustments when he can, kind of dive into one team. He takes over all the offense, all the defense, and they're going to get rest in between games, no back-to-back, and they're going to be just fine. They're going to have a long run. And, one thing I don't think JJ anticipated coming, and I certainly didn't, was going into the playoffs, there was this big question mark. Can they rely on guys like Larry Nance Jr. and Jordan Clarkson, who'd never been in the playoffs before, a guy like Rodney Hood, who had only played 1 playoff series with Utah before and completely fell flat on his face compared to what his regular season averages were for the Jazz? And guess what? Ty Lue made it so they don't have to rely on those guys whatsoever. You know what? I'm not even playing those guys. I'm going to go back to Tristan Thompson. I'm going to go and give more minutes to J.R. Smith and Kyle Korver rather than to Jordan Clarkson and Rodney Hood. And it's working. And so I think what you do say is that the veteran experience, sometimes that's kind of cliched thing that you fall on and just, you maybe overvalue it. But it's paying off for this team. And then I think Tyronn Lue, who's certainly taken his licks in the public, Cavs fans, media, et cetera, I think he's having a pretty strong postseason so far. Well,
let's dive into that, Dave, a little bit here, because amongst the trials and tribulations that I reviewed leading up to my last question, I left out Ty Lue taking some time off to, I guess, get some rest, essentially.
Right.
And your fellow Syracuse honk and post-Super Bowl 52 drinking buddy, Chris Brockman, loves to point out that Ty Lue is just a figurehead, that LeBron draws up the plays and LeBron's the coach, essentially.
General manager, don't forget that.
Don't forget that. Yeah. So what is the real deal, assuming that Brockman is full of it?
Well, much like his boy TB12, LeBron, of course, will have input in what type of plays that they run. That's a ridiculous kind of claim to put that on any reflection of the coach not having enough chutzpah to do his job or the superstar player overstepping his bounds. What Ty has done is, one, he addressed his health, which was necessary. That was an ongoing issue for the team and for him personally all season. He hired a new personal chef. He's taking new medication, really trying to exercise more and put more time into sleep, as we all should do. But there is a level of trust between him and those veterans. And when they had a do or die in Game 7, he said, hey, if we're going to go out here, and of course, had the Cavs lost in the first round, I mean, there's major changes to this Cavs team. Ty could be fired. LeBron would probably be even more so, have one foot out the door. All sorts of other players on the roster could either be traded or bought out, et cetera. They do a full rebuild. He said, if we're going to go down, I'm going to go down with the guys that I won a championship with. We all experienced the greatest moment of our professional lives together back in June 19th, 2016. And it paid off. And that's kind of just being able to read the room, knowing your guys. You know, obviously another thing we're going to talk about off the court, Tristan Thompson going through that very public indiscretions with his very public girlfriend and the mother of his child. Ty Lue checked in on him and made sure that he'd be okay and be able to give him something. And you know, not all coaches can necessarily handle that. But if you're a coach who played with Shaq and Kobe and played with Michael Jordan and coached KG and Ray Allen and Paul Pierce and coached Dwight Howard, you kind of understand what it's like to deal with this outsized personality and this kind of superstar life that the Cavs players have been living in the last couple of years.
All right, so let's look way over the steering wheel here, Dave. You know, after Game 6, that blowout, LeBron was asked if he's thinking in his mind that this could be his last game in a Cavs uniform in Game 7, and he said, no, I'm just thinking that this could be my last game of the year. And we had Maverick Carter here on way back at the outset of the season saying that LeBron truly can compartmentalize future decisions from the actual playing season. All that said, what is your best guess right now based on how everything's playing out? What happens come July 1, Dave?
Well, let's not forget that the Thunder lost in the first round, and there has been whispers and conjecture for over a year now that Paul George and LeBron James have visions of playing together with one another, and that would be in Los Angeles. So let's consider that, and the fact that the Thunder lost, you'd only have to think that that would encourage Paul George to end his partnership with Russell Westbrook. So that has to be considered when we have this conversation moving forward. And then you look at what the Sixers are doing, and if they're falling flat on their face against the Boston Celtics, that you could read that one of two ways. It could be that, well, if LeBron went to play with them, it wouldn't be like him latching onto a team that was already ready made for a championship. It would look like he was actually the unifying force to get them to the next level versus had they, say, beaten the Cavs or gotten to the NBA Finals, had the Cavs lost earlier in the playoffs, it would have looked the same way it did with Kevin Durant joining the Golden State Warriors, where it was like cherry-picking a championship. Those are factors you have to look into, but then you also have to just look at what he's doing with Cleveland. You know, what if, just totally what if. Now, the Golden State Warriors are a juggernaut, and I'm not trying to put any shade or throw any premature dirt on their grave. But if somehow LeBron, with this group, wins a championship in Cleveland, would he leave? I really don't think so. And this would probably be the most validation he'll ever receive from any championship because there is no true superstar beside him. And perhaps that's, the best way for LeBron to feel like his greatness is appreciated. So I think it's too early to tell, I guess, is my long-winded answer. But certainly this can only go to help Cleveland's chances of keeping him, I would assume.
Well, and then just one last thing with this whole what if. I mean, I know that the Knicks have been treating LeBron like that guy, that teenager who's mean to the girl he really wants to take to the prom. They did just hire David Fizdale, and we all know that Fizdale has Miami ties with LeBron. Is there any chance on this green earth that might actually resonate with LeBron when he is looking at options?
I mean, I like to think that I've gotten to know LeBron pretty well, but Dwayne Wade obviously knows him far better than I do. And Dwayne Wade publicly laughed in the face of the billboards that were around MSG,
right,
trying to recruit LeBron to the Knicks, saying, this is ridiculous. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. I think Fizdale's a great coach on his own right, minus any ties to potentially luring LeBron. But I think it's much the same way the Clippers hiring Jerry West. They hope that by some outside chance that LeBron could potentially be swayed or have some sort of iota of interest in their franchises based on having someone in their payroll that he completely trusts and admires and respects. And that's a good strategy just to maybe get yourself a seat at the table. But I don't believe the Knicks have a realistic chance, nor do I believe the Clippers have a realistic chance this offseason.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Not quite, Rich. Not quite.
Okay. Take care, Dave. Love the chat. Let's check
Hey,
back in.
And also,
yeah.
Just quick note
Yes.
on Mark Jones. We have to say he's doing that fantastic call with his brother in attendance. Paul Jones is a broadcaster for the Raptors.
How about that?
Pretty cool night for Mark.
Okay, sounds good, Dave. Appreciate you. You're just chock full of nuggets here, man. It's almost like Denver. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.
That's Dave McMenamin.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.